Alexa, start timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should because I talk about geeky things. And today, I'm going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and that is give the black market my DNA. So I've been wanting to do one of these DNA tests for a long time, mostly for fun, but also because I do know that obviously there have been some people who have not been at all surprised. So obviously there is some validity behind it. I know, not entirely scientifically accurate, but I'm still excited. I decided to do 23andMe specifically with the health and ancestry because, well, we'll get there. I wanted to do the health side because there are things in my family history and I want to know if I have markers for those things, and if I do have markers for those things, how I can proactively attack that now and hopefully not have problems with that in the future. So I can't eat or drink anything for the next 30 minutes. Actually, it's less time than that because it's been a while since I've had anything to eat or drink. But I figured I would still just make sure and hit that timer for 30 minutes. To start, I think what we'll do is talk a little bit about what I grew up knowing about my family, and then the questions I had about certain parts, certain sides of my family. Because I don't have a lot of questions. I'm not a lot of things, according to what I have been told. And then we'll go into the stuff that I've discovered over time through researching my family tree and researching history about the countries that my family is from, that my families are from, and kind of talk about, because I actually broke down a percentage that I think from following down my family tree. But obviously, percentages are just going to be different because obviously I take on more attributes from one side to the other. I definitely look a lot like my dad. So that being said, I probably won't have a lot of the percentages that I'll have less percentages from my mom's side than I will from my dad's side. So what did I know growing up? So growing up, we'll start with my mom's side. That one's the easiest because my mom is 50% Norwegian and 50% Polish. So my mom's mom was 100% Norwegian. That's the grandmother that passed away almost 2 years ago now. She was 100% Norwegian. Her first language was Norwegian. She taught me she taught me some Norwegian when I was little. Her mother basically spoke nothing but Norwegian. I say Norwegian weird because that's just how she said it, and so that's how I grew up saying it. And people point it out sometimes, so that's fun. So yeah, so she was, actually I don't know where it is. I'm not 100% sure where it is right now, but her family actually put together a genealogy, like little booklet thing that I have. My mom gave it to me because she had it. My mom gave it to me because I was starting to do the family tree, and it was just a lot easier to cheat off of distant relatives who actually went to Norway and like did all of the things they needed to do the family tree. That is my grandma's side. She was a second generation American, which makes my mom third generation American and me fourth generation American. I don't remember which year they landed here in the United States. It was relatively recently. My great grandma was born in North Dakota, and my grandma was born in North Dakota. My mom was born actually in the very city that I am sitting in. I'm sitting on my bed. But she was born in this city, so. She was not raised here, but she was born here. So it's very strange that she moved back eventually one day. So my mom's dad's side, which I can actually see a picture, the last picture my grandfather and I took of together. It was actually, I like the picture because it's the last one I have of him, and I love my grandpa, but it's a terrible picture of me, it's a terrible picture of my grandfather, so we're just gonna leave it there. But yeah, so my grandfather was 100% Polish. His family landed here in 1872 on Ellis Island. I've actually been able to find their Ellis Island like information because you can find that online. It's so cool. So yeah, so I've actually found that out. They landed here in 1872. He was 100% Polish. So now my dad's side. Like I said, my mom's side's kind of boring, but we're gonna get to the complexities of having a Polish background in a little bit, because it's not easy being Polish, you guys. It's not easy, especially when it comes to genealogy. There's a whole book about how to do your genealogy if you're freaking Eastern European, specifically Polish. So my dad's side. My dad's side is also a little more complicated, but a little more outwardly complicated. So my dad is 50% Norwegian. So that makes me 50% Norwegian because my dad is 50%, my mom is 50%. So both their 25s come together and make me 50%. So theoretically, I am 50% Norwegian. My grandfather on my dad's side, he was 100% Norwegian. So if you see my last name, I actually recently changed my Twitter back to the actual spelling, the actual legal spelling of my name, where for a long, long time I had it as the proper Norwegian spelling, which is H-A-L-E-S. So it's actually spelled, in America, it's spelled H-A-L-A-A-S. We've gotten really lazy on how to pronounce it, but the proper pronunciation is Halas, but we got lazy, and it's Hallis. So most people you hear that you hear say my last name, you'll hear them say Hallis, just because we're lazy Americans now. But again, we're very, very new to this country where that's concerned. So if you go really far back in my videos, specifically when I was using my dad's webcam, and I was in our library, you will actually see a portrait behind me, and that is actually the great-great-great-grandfather that came over here from Norway. And it's actually pretty fun because they came here on July 4th, 1876. So they thought they were moving to a very war-ridden country because the bombs were bursting in air celebrating the centennial of the United States of America. So they were terrified that they left their peaceful country of Norway and came to a war-ridden country where they thought they were going to have more opportunity here. Little did they realize it was just a celebration and everything was fine. It's just a fun little story. There's a lot of fun little stories about my dad's side of the family, like meeting Jesse James, hiding him out, all that stuff. I got some fun stories about my family. I'd love to sit down with my dad and just like talk about it. Or my aunt Joyce, who actually knows more about the stories than I do. So it's my dad's mom. That's a little complicated. Her dad was 100% German. Again, this is what I've been told growing up, is her dad was 100% German. So theoretically, she would be then half German, my dad would be 25% German, and then cut that in half, and that's what I am of German. Now, granted, like I said, I look like my dad, and he looks like his grandfather, so I'll probably have a pretty interesting percentage for German, just for that purpose, because I look a lot like him. And a lot of people will tell me when I say all of my different ethnicities, people will be like, oh yeah, you look very, very German. I don't know what that means. I definitely have a lot of my grandma, my mom's mom. I have a lot of her features, a lot of her physical features. But sometimes when I see a picture of the three of us, like me in the middle and my parents on either side of me, I can definitely see that I look like both of them in very, very different ways. So I don't know. But my mom looks like my grandpa. So it's going to be interesting to see what this says in 4 weeks. My dad's mom's side. This is where things get complicated because nobody actually knows 100%. I mean, I have a much clearer picture now, but like I said, growing up, I was always told that my dad's mom was, or is, because she's still alive, she's the only living grandparent I have left, that my dad's mom is a mutt. That is somewhat true, but not as true as I was actually anticipating, which we'll get to. She's, again, from what I've understood from the genealogy that I have been doing, and luckily her side has been super easy to do because her side also used to be Mormon. And if you guys are not familiar with Mormonism, they're super into genealogy, and so finding stuff on the free version of Ancestry.com has been so easy. It'd be even easier if I just like flew out to like Salt Lake City and actually like did some research out there. But holy moly, so easy. And I've been able to find quite a few of the immigrants in the family, and they all seem to come from very specific places, so it would surprise me that she would truly be honestly a mutt. At one point for a history class, I had to do some genealogy stuff, and I did talk to my Aunt Joyce because she just lived down the road essentially from me when I lived in St. Cloud, because she used to live in St. Cloud. Actually, I think she lived in Sauk Rapids, but either way, I was like 10 feet away from Sauk Rapids in my first apartment. And so I went and had dinner with her and her husband, my uncle. Then we sat down, we talked about where my dad's mom, or their mother, sits in that whole spectrum. And she kind of gave me a clearer picture. So at that point was when she told me that she was half German, mostly English with a little bit of French French sprinkled in. In English, she just said English. She didn't say from the UK, broadly from the UK. She simply just said English. So she didn't say Ireland or Scotland. She just said specifically England, and that becomes important later because she's all three. Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what the test results will actually say. I'm curious. So as I started to do my family tree, which I have worked very hard on for the last 2 years. I started it around the time my grandmother passed away, a little bit afterwards. And I've been working pretty diligently on it. I haven't worked on it a ton lately because I've kind of hit roadblocks at this point where I kind of need the paid program in order to like continue on, because I need census records and I need all those other records that they make you pay for. So at some point I'll pay for that, but right now I don't feel like it's entirely necessary because I've gotten really, really far with everybody. And there's a Polish genealogy group that I belong to on Facebook that has really helped me with some of my Polish background, because again, that gets real complicated because Poland wasn't always Poland. Poland didn't exist for like 30 years. So it's tough being Polish, you guys. So what have I learned? So the first like real big weird thing that happened with learning about my genetics, learning about my genealogy, when I looked at the Ellis Island paperwork for Jacob and Christina, who I have shown you guys the graves before, I think just on my vlog channel this year and then on my main channel last year. So if you want to go back to October, in the very long update video that I did, I showed you guys those graves, and we went again this year. They're the family that landed here in 1872. They're the York side, so that would be my grandfather's father's side. Their Ellis Island paperwork said they're from Germany. And I was like, wait, hold on. What? Like, this isn't like a long time ago. This was 1872. 140 some years ago. Like, it's not even that long ago, and I'm just like, how would we have like not known that he was part German all this time? Well, then I learned more about Polish history and found out that, of course, where they were from in Poland was in fact Germany at the time, because Poland didn't exist. It was Germany and Prussia, so Poland didn't actually exist for a long time. And so as I did more research on that part of the genealogy, I did find a lot of Prussia, I did find a lot of Germany, but everything stayed very Polish. Like all of the cities and things like that, when I would locate all the cities, they were all in Poland. The Prussia family were kind of more up in this general vicinity of Poland, up by the sea, and then of course the German were more closer to German, so Western Poland. That was one of those big things. But the other thing that I learned too from watching these videos obsessively for a long time when I first decided I wanted to do this was that a lot of people who are Polish specifically, but also just Eastern European in general, also happen to have a lot of Ashkenazi Jewish in them. So it wouldn't surprise me if I do see a little bit of Ashkenazi Jewish in me. Probably not a full percentage, probably a little bit. It would probably show up a lot more in my mom's. So again, my mom looks just like my grandfather. That whole family looks like my grandfather. I am the odd one out in that. I look nothing like my grandfather, but literally everybody else in my freaking family on that side. My sister, my cousins, all of their children all look like my grandfather. I'm the odd man out. Odd woman out? Meh. So I shouldn't see too many surprises on my mom's side. So again, as I've been doing some research, so again, my grandfather on my dad's side, he shouldn't have any surprises either. Because again, when I did that research, like it was very, very Norwegian. And it was a little hard because with Norwegians, our last names kind of change because our last names are not forever. So your last name when you're Norwegian is either the son of, and then the patriarch of the family, or your last name is where you are from. So in my case, Halas would be where we were from. So we were from Halas Hill in Norway. I don't think it exists as Halas Hill anymore, but if you do look in Iede, I think that's how you pronounce it, Iede, Norway, which is where my family was from, you'll find that name a lot. You'll find Halas a lot, spelled obviously properly. And I still have family out there in Molde and stuff like that. So I keep getting invited by one of my cousins well, not like first cousins, but one of my distant cousins out there. But anyway, so before that it was Nas, and then before that it was Oyen. So that was fun to like see that in reverse happening. So every time my family moved to a new location, their last name was changed, which I thought was interesting and also difficult to actually like specify that it was in fact my family. So I don't know if you can hear it over the air conditioning unit going off, but I had to take a little break from filming and the timer went off. So let's finish this part of the video and then I can finally spit into some tubes. Don't like this angle. Well, I mean, I just don't like my body. So new angle because I didn't like the framing before and I had to charge my camera. Anyway, so my dad's mom, that's the last piece that we're missing from this whole thing, and that's the most complicated. So like I said, she should be 50% German, which I was able to verify because when I did the family tree, the Broker family does have a very long-standing history in Germany. No surprises there, theoretically. The Mormon side, which I was always told was French-Canadian, with some English mixed in. That was the first story, and then Joyce, my aunt, told me a very different story later when she said, no, she's mostly English with a little bit of French. But I was always told that it was French-Canadian with a little bit of English. The French side of the family had actually been in Canada since Canada was a colony. So like the 1700s when it was owned by France. That side was owned by France. And then the English side of the family has actually been in the United States since we were a colony. So that's the only family that's been in the United States for any length really for a time at all. So I was able to find the immigrants on the French side for the most part, but all of the names are very, very French, like offensively French. Like when I say French, I mean like offensively French. So obviously very, very French. I was always told there was probably a little bit of native, a little bit of Canadian native in there. There's that. Actually, I'll know before this video goes up if there's any native in me. But yeah, so there's, you know, that's fun. The English side is very, very English with a little bit of French mixed into that even. So the English side, the first immigrant that I found was actually from Scotland. So I immediately went and told my father that he's actually Scottish. And my dad said, I guess that's why I like Scotch so much. I mean, I blame my Polish history and the reason why I love vodka. So I was able to find a few more immigrants from the UK, and some were from England and some were from, but a lot of them were actually from Ireland, which my mother is very jealous of me for because she has always wanted to be Irish. She loves Ireland. She's been to Ireland. She loves it there. She would probably move there if we could. She loves Ireland a lot. So my mom was actually pretty jealous of me when she found out that I was part Irish. So let's break this down. So after I had done quite a bit of my family tree, I actually started to kind of figure out what my possible percentages might be. So these are the percentages that I made up knowing literally nothing about genetics. So I should be 50% Norwegian, 25% Polish, 12% German, 7% English, 3% French, 2.75% Irish, and then 0.25% Scottish with a total of 10% from the UK in general. So that's what I'm thinking. And we're gonna learn more about that when I send this off. Oh, hi. Oh, hi. So let's fill this sucker now that we've talked about that. Whew! All right. I'm not going to do this on camera because that's disgusting, and I've seen people do it, and it's disgusting. So I will see you when the results are in, and I'm very excited to figure all this out. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the health stuff when I am ready to talk about it. So, because a lot of it scares me, and I'm ready to learn more about my genetics. I'll see you guys all. Like, for you guys, it'll be a second. For me, it's going to be like 4 weeks. Okay, so I'm registering my kit right now. I've filled everything, and I'm on my phone now, and I wiped off all my makeup. But I was just like slightly triggered. I hate using the word triggered in this regard because it wasn't that bad, but slightly triggered because they asked if I've ever been diagnosed or with an aneurysm. Link to that story time. Right up there. The answer is no, but it was also the scariest time of my life if you didn't see that video. So, link to that. All right, so it is August 1st. I was not supposed to get this until August 13th. I'm very excited. Okay, here we go. It did not take very long at all. I'm very, Very excited. I am panicking. This happened, what, like halfway through work? And I was like, this is like the hardest work in my life. Okay, so we're gonna click on Ancestry. Oh, I'm so scared. I mean, I can see it on both. Okay. All right, here we go. Your DNA suggests that you're 50% Scandinavian. Shocker. All right, let's click view report. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I'm 100% European. Okay, so there is no native, which there was question whether or not there was native. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna click on this. So here's the Scandinavian. I'm highly matched to Norway. Shocker. But what's interesting is, oh wow, okay, so Romsdal, Romsdal, that I think is where my dad's family is from. Yeah, Molde, right there, right here, it says Molde. So that's where my dad's family is from. So the highest region is where my dad's family is from, which doesn't surprise me because if I remember correctly, my great grandpa on my mom's side was from down in this region. Oh my gosh. And then my mom's mom would have been from this area because she would have been right in between. So the next highest size. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, so was between Norway and Bergen, like right in this general vicinity right here. Oh my God. Okay, so there's those two families. It says there's a possible match in Sweden. So I've got a couple of matches in the Stockholm area, in the Blekinge County, and then Vostra, and the possible match in Denmark. It says, although it is likely you had ancestors who lived in Denmark in the last 200 years, we have not been able to identify specific regions in Denmark. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's cool. Okay, here's, oh wow, I am only 8.8% Polish, which I guess in my mind, I guess it doesn't surprise me because I don't look like my mom. So, oh wow. Which is so weird because I thought my family was more from this general vicinity over here, but obviously that isn't the case. My highest region is up here. Only 8.8% Polish. I am so Polish in my head though. I mean, I'm still gonna be Polish because my grandfather was 100% Polish, so. 12.4% of my ancestry is British and Irish. So mostly from, it looks like Greater London area. And then possible match in Ireland, but that's it. Where I had a family member that came from Scotland that I was able to find, but obviously not. And that's gonna be in the Dublin area. I was really in the Donegal. Oh, Donegal. Aww. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, well the Polish thing surprises the heck out of me a little bit, just because I thought it would have been more Polish, but I'm definitely Polish. All right, so then French and German. So let's click on that and see where the French and German comes from. Germany has 16 administrative regions. Was found in the following 3 regions. So the highest is North Rhine-Westphalia. So maybe Grandpa did have a little bit of German in him. I mean, but this would be about what I would think I had of French and / German. But there is no French. What? Hold up. We did not detect any evidence of recent ancestry from Austria, Belgium, France, Luxembourg, or the Netherlands or Switzerland. But all of those people were French. Okay, I'm very confused, but that's fine. I mean, it's fine, and I know that these might change as time goes on. I'm 2.4% broadly European. But it's interesting, and so I don't have any Ashkenazi Jewish in me, which kind of surprises me, but my big surprise is how little Polish I am. That surprises me because my grandfather was 100% Polish, and so you would think then I would have had more Polish in me. Oh, it says broadly Northwestern European. So maybe that's actually where my French is in that. Northwestern Europeans are represented by people from as far west as Ireland and as far north as Norway, as far east as Finland, and as far south as France. So maybe that's where my French is? I don't know. But I guess it does not surprise me that I'm 50% Norwegian. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go down here. So here's my ancestry timeline. So it says most likely you had a parent, grandparent, or great-grandparent who was 100% Scandinavian. I had 2 grandparents that were 100% Scandinavian. This person was more likely born between 1900 and 1960, and both of them were born in that time span. It is most likely you had a great-grandparent or second great-grandparent or third great-grandparent who was 100% British/Irish. This person was likely born between 1840 and 1900. This one is, okay, so this is where it gets a little weird because my grandfather was 100% Polish, so we thought. Now I want my mom to take this. Now I want my mom to take this and compare our results because I don't think Grandpa was 100% Polish. Scandal! Scandal in the family. Okay. You most likely had a great-grandparent, second great-grandparent, or third great-grandparent who was 100% Eastern European. This person was likely born between 1840 and 1900. And then you had you most likely had a second great-grandparent or a third great-grandparent, fourth great-grandparent, or fifth great-grandparent who was 100% French and German. This person was likely born between 1780 and 1870. And as far as I knew, great-grandpa Broker was 100% German. So that would have been my great-grandfather. But that's interesting. I do want to order a kit for a family member. I want both of my parents to do this. So bad. Okay, so here we go. Oh my gosh. How cool is that? I didn't think I was going to get any shockers. I didn't think I was going to get any surprises. View 13 reports. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. The thing I was afraid of, I have a slightly increased risk, which means that my dad probably has a variant or two. Okay. Typical likelihood for type 2 diabetes. Report specific tutorial required before viewing. I have 0 variants detected in the BRCA1 and BRCA2 genes. Whew. Okay. But, I do have a slightly increased risk for, okay, like the macular degeneration obviously as well, but what is this one again? For colorectal cancer. Okay, so that's what my grandmother died from, and all of her siblings died from colon cancer. So I have 0 variants detected. So thank you, Dad. I'm glad I look like you sometimes. I miss you, Grandma. I have 1 variant detected. Okay, it's fine. It's scary, but it's fine. But this just means that my dad and I have to like start worrying about that to an extent. You know what I mean? Like not worrying about it, but like proactively. I have a variant. I have 2 copies of a genetic variant we tested. Slightly increased risk of developing macular degeneration, which I guess shouldn't surprise me. I know my grandmother had cataracts a lot, so that's definitely something I need to talk to my dad about because obviously that's something that like we need to talk about because we both need to be a little more proactive about it. And so my dad's mom has Alzheimer's, and my dad's aunt on my grandpa's side died from Alzheimer's. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do 23andMe, was to see that. Okay, so carrier status, I'm not really super worried about it because I don't plan on ever having children, and if I do, I want to adopt. But let's take a look anyway, because this could obviously be something my sister may want to know about, but it looks like I'm not a carrier for anything. So I would have healthy children aside from the mental illness in my life. Sleep and wake time. Let's look at this. So I'm less likely to be a deep sleeper. I was a heavy sleeper when I was a kid, and I think I'm a lot less heavy of a sleeper now because if my TV is on for too long, so I have my TV on all the time. Well, I have it on sleep, so it goes to sleep. It turns off like an hour and a half after I decide to go to bed. Because I have to fall asleep to TV, but if it's on all night, I will wake up. So that's probably true. I am average. I'm likely average or less movement. I disagree with that completely. And then my wake up time, my likely wake up time is around 8:16 a.m. if I'm sleeping in, maybe. My body wakes up very early, but this is just in like proving that I'm a morning person. Food and weight. Okay, let's look at this. Okay. Oh my god. I just saw the one thing and I was like, yes, bitch. Okay. So genetic weight and predisposed to, you know what I'm trying to say, to weigh more than average. I mean, hi. Lactose intolerance, likely intolerant. I am lactose intolerant. I was born lactose intolerant, which is not super common. It's actually more common to develop it later in life, but I was born lactose intolerant, so there you go. Saturated fat and weight, likely similar weight. Bitter taste can taste, and I can. Cilantro taste aversion, slightly higher odds of disliking cilantro, which is weird because I actually don't hate cilantro. I actually like it. Sweet versus salty. I likely prefer salty. No, I definitely like sweet. Let's look at this. Let's look at wellness. This is so much fun. Now that I'm past the scary stuff and the weird stuff, this is fun. Alcohol flush reaction, unlikely to flush. I have rosacea, so I'm just always flushed. Caffeine consumption, likely to consume more. So when I could have caffeine, I did. I drank a lot of caffeine. I basically functioned off of caffeine. When I was in high school, I would have 6 cans of Mountain Dew and go to sleep from a caffeine crash. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not kidding at all. I used to only drink soda specifically for the caffeine. I don't drink soda much. I'll drink a Sprite from time to time, but I don't drink soda unless it's like a special occasion or like I have vodka mixed in or something, but yeah. But every time I do, it's like a Sprite or a 7-Up or whatever you like the clear sodas are that don't have caffeine in them. I am likely to consume more. Yes. Yes, I am. Muscle composition, common in elite power athletes. So that's what's interesting is I'm an incredibly fit fat person. That's what people don't know about me is like I'm actually pretty athletic for being a fat person. There's a lot of muscle underneath all this lard. Okay, we got traits. Let's look at my traits. So ability to match musical pitch, more likely to be able to match a musical pitch, which I can match a musical pitch pretty decently. Asparagus odor detection, likely can smell. I can't smell anything, so, but if I could smell, apparently I would be able to smell asparagus. Less likely than average to have a bunion. I don't have any bunions. Cheek dimples, likely no dimples. I have one over here, I think, right? Yeah, right there. Likely no cleft chin, which I don't have. Dandruff, less likely to get dandruff. Well, and the only reason I have dandruff is actually because I have eczema. I have some eczema issues on my scalp, so that's the only reason I ever have dandruff. Earlobe type, likely detached earlobes, kind of, but somewhat attached. Likely wet earwax, very wet earwax. Sorry if that's too much information. Likely blue or green eyes. My eyes actually are blue with a little hint of green in there. Fear of heights, less likely than average to be afraid of heights. I am not afraid of heights. I am actually very okay with heights. What I have a fear of is falling from them, even though I jumped out of an airplane. Maybe that's just proof I'm not actually afraid of heights at all. Fear of public speaking, more likely to have a fear of public speaking. I've talked about this a lot recently because I actually was a stand-in pastor for my parents' church last weekend. People were asking me if I was nervous, and I said, not really, because I mean, I did theater my whole life, and so maybe that's why I've gotten over my fear of public speaking. But you put me in front of like 10,000 people I don't know and I'm fine. You put me in front of 5 people I do know and I am like terrified. I think that's why doing the camera is so easy because I don't know who's watching. Finger length ratio, likely ring finger is longer. Yeah, my ring finger is longer. I think what they're talking about is between these 2 fingers, and yeah, my ring finger is actually longer than my pointer finger. So there you go. Flat feet, more likely than average to have flat feet. I do have flat feet. They're also incredibly wide. That's from my mother. Freckles, likely a little freckling. I don't have freckling on my face, but I do have freckling kind of on my arms. But that's about it. Hair photo bleaching, more likely to experience hair photo bleaching, which I do. I think I've talked about that in the past where sometimes some summers I'll get like dirty blonde hair. Hair texture, likely straight or wavy. It is straight until it hits my shoulders and then it becomes wavy. once it gets down there. Less likely to have thick hair. I don't have thick hair. Ice cream flavor preference, about 50-50% chance, 50-50 chance of preferring vanilla or chocolate. I much prefer vanilla. I hate chocolate ice cream. Likely light colored hair. I was born blonde. Actually, I was born bald. And then my hair came in and I was blonde. And then it turned this color. Misophonia. Average odds of hating chewing sounds. It depends. If it's a crunchy sound, I like it. But if it's a wet sound, yeah. Mosquito bite frequency, likely bitten more often than others. Accurate. They come for me. I'm such a sweet person. More likely to experience motion sickness. I really don't get a lot of motion sickness. I do sometimes in planes. Newborn hair, likely little baby hair. Yes. Photo sneeze reflex. Likely no photic sneeze reflex. I do though. I will walk outside and I'll immediately sneeze, but I don't know if it's because of that or because I've got issues with my nose. Red hair, likely no red hair. Skin pigmentation, likely lighter skin. I am Norwegian AF. Stretch marks, more likely to have stretch marks. I do, because I'm fat. And fat people get stretch marks sometimes, so that's fine. Toe length ratio, likely big toe longer. And that is very true. But I have like finger toes. Nobody has ever really seen them, and I'm not about to show them because they look like crap. Unibrow, likely at least a little unibrow. I mean, no, I've actually been told that my eyebrows, this is not tamed at all. Like I didn't even like color them in today. I usually actually do recently for my videos, but this has been the shape of them forever. And I've been told by people who like are really into doing eyebrows that I've got really nice shaped eyebrows. So, and then widow's peak, likely no widow's peak, which I do not have a widow's peak. So there we go. I'm H2, migration of my maternal line. So 180,000 years ago, every person living today could trace his or her maternal line back over thousands of generations. All of our lines would meet at a single woman who lived in Eastern Africa between 150,000 and 200,000 years ago. Though she was one of perhaps thousands of women alive at the time, only the diverse branch of her haplogroup have survived today. The story of your maternal line begins with her. Oh wow. And you can see down here, it's like Eastern, Southern Africa. And then eventually came up here and then went up into Scandinavia. So that's super cool. Luke the Evangelist may have also belonged to H2. So I'm theoretically related to Saint Luke. The Evangelist, Luke the Evangelist. That's kind of interesting. And I don't think I can see my father's haplogroup, right? That's how that works. I can't see my father's haplogroup. Like I have to actually like have him. Britt, connect with your father or brother to trace your ancestor, your ancient paternal line. Yeah, I don't have a brother. Sorry. Let's see, what else can we look at before I turn off this video? Ooh, my Neanderthal ancestry. Let's look at that. Let's look at my Neanderthal. I have 288 Neanderthal variants. So I have more Neanderthal variants than 71% of 23andMe customers. However, your Neanderthal history accounts for less than 4% of your overall DNA. So that's a surprise. I'm legitimately kind of surprised. And obviously, like I've said before, this is just mostly for fun. I know my grandfather's family came from Poland, which is why I'm never gonna give up my love for Poland, my love for the Polish world, even if I'm only technically 8.8% according to this. I'd like to maybe do the Ancestry.com one now, just to like see what they look for, what that says. But yeah, so it does not surprise me. I am 50% Norwegian, with possible matches in Sweden, but that's fine. But yeah, so there we go. I will see you guys all next week. Bye. Ah! So weird. Oh wow, it's so cool. I can see where everybody's from. Oh, I can't wait to show my mom. Can't wait to show my dad. My dad's gonna be really excited about it. Oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. So she's British, Irish, and German. That's what she is. She's British, Irish, and German. Wow.